all right. So, 22 days in, and I had another class this week. I'm really like going easy on the classes for now. Obviously, the goal is to increase my class time. But I had another lesson today with Juan. And it went pretty good. I was surprised at how much I was able to speak. Juan really challenged me on our lesson today, though, because I was able to tell him the things that I enjoy talking about, which is things like food and movies and celebrities and entertainment and all that kind of a thing. So we kind of kept our lesson focused on that. So a little bit different vocabulary that I've been using with him today than I have in past classes. As I said before, for the majority of classes, it's mostly introduction. So I'm always meeting somebody new, some kind of always sort of saying the same things, or I've been saying the same things for the past few classes. But with him, we kind of took a different direction, which is great because now I'm using different vocabulary, which is awesome. So in this particular lesson, he had me, we focused on movies, and it was more about, here's a picture from, or like a movie still, and can you describe the picture, or can you tell me a little bit about the movie, is what he was saying. And he was really strict about like keeping it all Spanish. Even at times I said things like, I don't know. And I'm like, I know how to say that in Spanish. Why am I saying it in English? So he was like, no, Spanish, please. So he was like really, really strict on me speaking Spanish for this lesson. But he was also really understanding and patient and adaptable for me when he realized like I just couldn't describe it. Like I just didn't have that vocabulary. So it's like I'm desperately trying to figure out a way that I can say this in another way, using the tip from another teacher. But I mean, if I just don't have the vocabulary to say certain things, I just don't. But it was really interesting to be able to just sort of simply describe these movies. So for one example, he asked me about my favorite movie, and it's really hard for me to always nail down a favorite movie. People ask me, what's your favorite movie? I can't tell you because I've got about 500 favorite movies. So I guess one of my top 10 favorite movies is The Color Purple, so I can very easily say that in Spanish. And then he said, okay, well, now describe it. So then I'm like, how do I describe this? So I was able to say, it's about two sisters, and I was able to say like her father was not good, because I actually don't know how to say bad. I know how to say good, and I know how to say not good, but I don't know how to say bad, which is really weird. I think I didn't really get much further in describing it, but he was still really encouraging and really supportive. So he was just saying, like, think about these kinds of things, which is, think about these kinds of things. Think about a movie. Think about how you would describe that movie, and then try to write that sentence down, and then, talk about it in your next lesson. So I kind of already do that already as it is right now. I'm always like, my brain's just, in addition to all the other things going on in my brain's just always jam-packed with Spanish vocabulary and Spanish words, and me trying to put Spanish sentences together. So I managed to put a few more sentences together, just completely all with the vocabulary that I knew, which is just so fun. But like, it's just amazing to me sometimes that I'm like, wow, I can't believe that I'm actually able to put this sentence together. And I always like throw it into Google Translate to make sure, like, is this really what I'm thinking it's supposed to be? And so far it's always been. So I'm really, really excited about that. The fact that I am thinking about Spanish more. I'm thinking more about the language itself. And I'm just watching a lot of other inspirational videos, people who are polyglots that speak several languages. At first I was going to limit myself to 5 languages, but I think I really want to be fluent in 8 languages, and not including English. So definitely, if I continue on, or when I continue on my with my Spanish, as soon as I feel like I've mastered it, when I really get to that point where I want to be, where I'm just comfortable with the language. And when I say fluent, I don't necessarily mean that I know every single word in Spanish that ever existed, but I mean that I can speak the language with ease and I don't have to think about it the way that I can speak English. For me, that's what I consider to be fluent. Other people might have their own definitions on fluent or conversational, but for me, fluent means that I just speak the language with ease and I speak it the way that I would speak my mother tongue. I don't have to think about it. It's just the language just comes to me. So that's what I'm thinking that I want to do with Spanish, considering how quickly I'm progressing, even without having daily lessons or anything like that, and just sort of doing it on my own. I think I'm doing pretty good. So I'm really happy with my progress so far, despite my ups and downs. And ultimately, I should be able to get to that point before around, I would say, even by this summer, even by July, August of this year. But I would say to be comfortable, it would probably be the end of this year, which will be great because then my next language to tackle is American Sign Language. So that'll be awesome. But for now, classes are going pretty good.